delights to meet you all and to exchange thoughts with you. I think you see yourselves not so much as almost a distinct or isolated continent apart, but very much a part of the Asian continent, and of the Indo-Pacific in particular. That I think is something that brings us together as Indians and Australians too. And the fact that there are a million Indians in this country helps, doesn't it? I mean, it does mean that none of you, and I think Tim, you won't mind my revealing when I talked about his interest in India. He said, well, 1 out of every 3 voters have got as an Indian. Of course they're going to be interested in India. And that's also going to be increasingly common amongst political leaders in this country. And there was a sense in the past, right up to the late 60s, that Australia was a continent unto itself. It was isolated from the rest of the world. It could look after its own affairs, and of course, there were any affiliations, of course, to the Anglosphere, and particularly to Britain. That clearly seems to have changed significantly. Gough Whitlam onwards, Hawke and others who articulated a different vision of what Australia's place in the world was. And now that Australia is such an important voice in the Indo-Pacific, India fits right in, so that's important for us too. I think we are on the upstream. The relationship is warm, it is warming, and it will get warmer still. In many ways, it was a BJP victory that looked like a defeat, and partly because of their own level of expectations. And it was a defeat for the opposition that looked like a victory, because we all did better than we had done in the 2 previous elections. Congress had been decimated in 2014 to 44 seats. We were down to 52 in 2019, but after the death and the by-election, we were down to 50, and now we are 101. So suddenly, we've doubled our presence in the Lok Sabha. The government, after having initially shaken by this, and even looking a bit adrift and a bit lost, has rapidly regrouped. And they realized that they are actually at a signal for 5 years as if they had a majority. Partially because no one of the coalition allies is in a position to blackmail them or threaten to bring the government down. No one of them has enough seats to make a difference within the majority and the minority. So as long as you keep individual parties happy, you're secure. And the BJP has come right back, as we saw in the last session of Parliament, with a fair amount of self-confidence about its agenda and its plans and the issues it wants to initiate. What essentially ended up happening is that we now have a situation where literally every 6 months, usually roughly every spring and every winter, there will be an election somewhere, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4. And so it becomes a process of kind of rolling referendum on the government of the day. So if the BJP is able to claw back these victories in states, then it's regained some of the credibility it lost in the center. And conversely for us, if we were able to accentuate that momentum from the general election by winning more states, we would have had the momentum with us. But at the moment, Haryana has been a setback, and now Maharashtra is extremely important for our own credibility. Absolutely. So on the one hand, I think everyone understands that the one word everyone can apply to President Trump is the word unpredictable. So sitting about predicting what he will do can be challenging. I think some American commentators will say, I don't think the president knows what he's going to do. He's ready to predict his own decisions. So that's the first thing we can't really be sure. On the other hand, you've seen him in action for 4 years. So there shouldn't be too many surprises. We broadly got a sense of what his instincts are, how he conducts himself. We will, I think, expect to see a fairly tough attitude towards China. That seems to be part of his ecosystem's vision of the world. I imagine that if he's going to stick to what he said publicly, that he will want to move the Ukrainians towards peace. And equally, if he sticks to what he says publicly, he's going to give us Netanyahu a very free hand in that. And those seem to be at least 4 things that become apparent from what he's done before and what he said he would do. Don't forget, for the first time, unlike the last victory, he actually won a majority of the popular vote. And so people want him to deal with illegal immigration. People want him to lower their taxes. People want him to to bring inflation down. I'm not sure the two of them are compatible. If he lowers taxes and raises tariffs, then he might end up creating more inflation. But that's another matter. Trump liked the idea of the Quad. I don't think he had any problem with it. But I think, again, he's a very transactional individual and politician. So he's going to be fairly exacting. If he feels that other members are not transacting on the terms that he wants, he can always move on. I mean, that's something, I think we've got to be prepared for that. I think. You know, what's interesting, and often people don't realize it, is that the UN is both a stage and an actor. It is a stage in which the member states play their parts. It is an actor when the member states agree and entrust the Secretary General or the agencies or a peacekeeping operation with the mandate, the resources, and the support to do certain things. And the UN has done those very well, which is why we've got a slew of Nobel Peace Prizes for the UN agencies and the UN itself, and UN peacekeepers and so on, to point to. I think that Trump still finds the UN as stage useful. It's a place where he can go and declaim, and lay out the agenda of the world. He can even use it to chide other nations. He's done that before. But UN as actor, I think, is in trouble. I don't think that the UN, the US under Trump is going to be wanting to use multilateral instruments as much as we've always been doing till now. And I think, therefore, don't expect an empowered Secretary General, don't expect too many cutting-edge peacekeeping operations, don't expect the agencies to be given a free hand to solve problems, don't expect WHO to be supported to handle the next pandemic, and so on and so on. That's going to be tougher for the next few years. So the UN as stage, fine. The UN as actor, I think, in better.